What is up, YouTube, and welcome to another Gifted episode review. So, Gifted is continuing the trend of Fox absolutely crushing it with their X-Men properties at the moment. We had, Logan made up for X-Men Apocalypse, which was really an apocalypse. And we've had Legion so far. We had the first episode of Gifted, which has absolutely debuted to rave reviews. So Inhumans is the other Marvel show that is currently on TV, and that is just abysmal. The last episode of Inhumans was particularly bad. I'm not sure if I mentioned in my last Gifted review about Inhumans, but I actually quite enjoyed the first two episodes, particularly Maximus and Karnak stood out for me in that show, but boy, was episode 3 absolutely dire. But thank the gods, thank everyone, thank Stan Lee that we do have a Marvel show which is absolutely amazing. And Marvel really is, if it wasn't for their MCU properties, then Marvel, I don't know what they'd do because their comics are terrible, apart from a few. Wolverine, all new Wolverine particularly is pretty good. I do enjoy that and miss Marvel. Champions is okay. It's a bit not really in my age range, but Avengers has been okay. Yeah, pretty good. But Gifted is flying the flag for everything that isn't the MCU, and this episode particularly is just amazing. I really did enjoy this episode, and as a whole the show is pretty solid, and it's good at showing the whole hatred of the mutants throughout this. And we open with a backstory to the Strucker family, which I can't help but think that this Strucker part of the name is not coincidental. Obviously, we had Baron von Strucker, who was also in Age of Ultron in the MCU as well, and played a big part on that, but more on that later, because there is yet another connection, possibly. And I can't help but think that really this is where the X-Men movies should have carried on to. I really wish that we have more references in this to the X-Men, but all we know is that the X-Men have disappeared and mutants are being vilified, and they really are an outcast in society, which really fits in with just what the original X-Men was all about, and the inclusion and the social commentary. And Stan Lee actually had a little Twitter video recently where Marvel is a reflection of the times, and this really is what this is, with division in the country and everything like that, and scapegoats being made. Well, this is what this is, and I have to say it's doing it really well, especially with this powerful, very strong and powerful opening scene here, with a mutant child being laughed at the bowling alley and using her powers. And really you'd think that, well, why don't you just use her powers to teach him a lesson? But the Sentinel services and the mutant kind of investigators are really coming down on anyone, even if they use their powers for an accident or even for good. And people are scared of mutants, which I think that would like to think that this wouldn't actually happen in real life, but people would be scared of them here, just as any minority is kind of overblown and things like that. But this episode does continue on, and I can't help but think that there is a new mother trope in genre TV, and we've got the blonde mother, the blonde female mother who goes off and has to do really difficult things for her family. Just look at Fear the Walking Dead, and I was watching, I was like, there's got to be others. This is reminding me too much of Fear the Walking Dead, which also is a fantastic show. The last season of this has been superb. But this is I like the way that now they're split. So the father, of course, the vampire from True Blood, Stephen Moore, I think that's his name, is now split from his family, and I was a bit cautious about what they're going to do here. But now he is flying the flag for his family, and I really did like those scenes. This B story could have quite easily been really boring and terrible, but they bring in his mother and they use him, but he's been on the other side of the table, like he said, and, he knows that this is all talk. But I expect that now he is going to look for his family to bring in the mutant underground, and he wants to bring them in and get his family back, but as long as he brings them in, it's all good. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of conflict here because, well, two of his family are mutants as well. And I think that possibly a big reveal might be that him or his wife are mutants as well. Maybe he could be part of that because, it is genetics. But the main story here as well is that Blink is in a coma and these weird kind of portals are coming out, and it's all focused on this one road. So this one road here that we see, it's going to have some connection. I think that when she wakes up and she's like, I don't know. I don't know why it keeps going there. It's probably going to have a bigger connection to her backstory, I think, as well. And I like the fact that we reference mutants who can't actually pass for humans, and they become increasingly marginalised by society because they can't get jobs, which is one thing which obviously is featured in like the Inhumans as well, and the X-Men, that when these mutations happen, that they're not all going to be like super cool psychic stuff. They're not going to have regeneration or can turn their body into like iron or whatever, or diamond. No, they're going to have these really bad like other mutations as well. But that's quite cool how they reference that. And I have to say, all this is really tastefully done. It could quite easily be very, very cheesy, but it isn't. It is handled pretty well. And I have to say, the bit with Polaris was done well, and she is in prison. It's kind of looking into mutants and how they're dealt with in even general population prisons. And the whole thing just was really, really good. And I like the hospital smash and grab as well. Just the whole thing was just a joy. It just feels really seamless. It's not bogged down in anything. There's no scenes which are just pointlessly talking or boring or whatever. We're not dragged down in backstory. We get backstory of each of these characters, but it's shown in like while the story is progressing, which is pretty cool as well. So let me know what you think in the comments. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you think this is going to be the next big thing for Fox? And what is curious as well, we have the end part of the episode where we have the mutant researchers come in, possibly linked to the Sentinels as well. And this guy references a event that happened in the 60s where two mutants had a terrorist attack, which could be the Fenris twins, which are the people who were created, or not created, but they were mutated by the Baron von Strucker. And what happens is that he is able to turn them into white supremacists, and they have powers as twins where they can actually hold hands and fly and do all kinds of cool stuff, which is possibly why he's looking into these Strucker kids. And I think that, well, he could look into siblings who are mutants anywhere in the world. It's not without question that there will be mutants who are brother and sister, or brother and brother, or sister and sister. Just look, if we mention in the X-Men, or you've got Cyclops and his brother as well. So I have to say that it might be due to that they are Struckers, and they might be descendants of these twins as well. And of course, the mother is a protester for mutant rights as well. So I think we're going to get a deep connection there. Obviously, as well, Fox and Marvel are working together. They are sort of sharing their rights now as time is going on, as they realise that as they want to expand their properties, that like Fantastic Four with Fox, which means they get all of the space properties which Guardians of the Galaxy wants to explore, and possibly what the next phase will be going into space and having more of these Captain Marvel things. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we could actually get more and more of these references. We've got Legion as well, which is seemingly apparently in its own universe, but I'm hoping that we actually get Legion referenced as well, because Legion fitting in with this, having a shared universe, would be really, really cool. And I mean, Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead were never actually going to cross over, but now they are crossing over, so anything could really happen. I know that's a different property, but things do change, and I really hope that we get the references to the MCU. No, I would love it to actually happen, but it possibly won't actually happen, to be honest, at all. The closest thing we'll get to a reference to another Marvel property is the X-Men films, perhaps, as we get closer to the event and the reason why the X-Men disappeared, possibly because they're all dead due to Professor X, as referenced in Logan as well. But let me know what you think in the comments. Please do drop a like, please do subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.